The World News Today is being brought to you by One Solar Solution. Check out how you can get those solar panels installed at your home or residence by going to onesolarsolution.com. Bringing you the world news coming up next. This is Radio Caravan, the world news read by Shabnam Modgil. Even as he publicly sought to downplay the threat of the coronavirus to Americans earlier this year, President Trump told author Bob Woodward that he knew the virus was serious and deadly. Bob Woodward, facing widespread criticism for only now revealing President Trump's early concerns about the severity of the coronavirus, told the Associated Press yesterday that he needed time to be sure that Trump's private comments from February were accurate. In Woodward's upcoming book on Trump called Rage, the president is quoted saying the virus was highly contagious and, I quote, deadly stuff, at a time he was publicly dismissing it as no worse than the flu. President Trump admits he tried to minimize the lethal threat of coronavirus at the outset of the pandemic in audio recordings that were released yesterday. Democratic presidential nominee Joe Biden responded to a series of these bombshell revelations about President Trump, saying that audio tapes recorded by veteran journalist Bob Woodward showed Trump, and I quote, failed to do his job on purpose. Texas Senator Ted Cruz has been added to President Trump's short list of possible Supreme Court nominees should a seat open up while he is president. The nomination of Donald Trump for the Nobel Peace Prize for brokering the landmark Israel-UAE deal is a hard-earned and well-deserved honor, said the White House, underlining that the U.S. president has made peace a cornerstone of his foreign policy efforts. And when it comes to California wildfires, it now takes days and not decades to produce what had been seen as a once-in-a-lifetime occurrence. According to the State Department of California, more than 2 million acres of land have been consumed by the California fires so far as the flames continue to rage. Numerous wildfires burned in Oregon's forested valleys and along the coast, destroying hundreds of homes and causing mass evacuations. An unprecedented spate of fierce wind-driven wildfires in Oregon have all but destroyed 5 small towns, leaving a potentially high death toll in their wake as initial casualty reports begin to surface. Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey was accused in a civil lawsuit yesterday of sexual assault and battery in the 1980s by actor Anthony Rapp and a second unnamed person when both plaintiffs were about 14. The suit filed in a New York state court in Manhattan refers to the same alleged incident that Rapp first recounted in October of 2017 that triggered Kevin Spacey's fall from grace in Hollywood. Spacey was not immediately available for comments. The U.S. death toll from COVID-19 is expected soon to pass 200,000, looming heavily over the November 3rd presidential election, in which Trump is currently behind in the polls. Hopes that a COVID-19 vaccine may be imminent were dimmed when news broke that a serious adverse reaction in one of the participants of the AstraZeneca trial has triggered a pause in testing to conduct a safety review. Drug maker AstraZeneca should still know before the end of the year whether its experimental vaccine protects people against COVID-19. The U.S. government confirmed it'll end enhanced screening of some international passengers for COVID-19 and drop requirements that travelers coming from the targeted countries arrive at 15 designated U.S. airports. The CDC has revealed new measures for air travel. And in a year when the coronavirus pandemic has reshaped countless American rituals, even the commemoration of 9/11 could not go unchanged. The 19th anniversary of the terror attacks tomorrow will be marked by dueling ceremonies at the Memorial Plaza and a corner near the World Trade Center, reflecting a divide over the memorial's decision to suspend a cherished tradition of relatives reading victims' names in person. President Trump's push to crack down on illegal immigration and reshape legal immigration was at the heart of the Republicans' winning 2016 campaign and has remained at the forefront of his White House agenda. Former Vice President Joe Biden, the likely Democratic challenger in this year's presidential election, promises to rescind many of the policies put in place by Trump's administration. And President Trump savaged his Democrat opponent Joe Biden at the start of a tour of swing states, but seemed to concede that his re-election campaign is running out of donors, requiring him to dip into his own pockets. And in a newly released complaint, a whistleblower alleges that President Trump's acting Department of Homeland Security secretary ordered him to hold back intelligence on Russian election interference because it made the president look bad. Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro proposed administering a Russian coronavirus vaccine to nearly 15,000 candidates in upcoming legislative elections so that they can campaign safely. And a group of feminists and crime victims has taken over the offices of Mexico's Governmental Human Rights Commission, leading to a standoff in which both sides express worries about rights violations in Mexico. The United States will pull thousands of troops out of Iraq and Afghanistan by this November, as President Trump tries to make good on his campaign promise to get America out of endless wars. And a huge fire broke out today at the port of Beirut, triggering panic among residents traumatized by last month's massive explosion there that killed and injured thousands of people. It was not immediately clear what caused the fire at the facility, which was decimated by the August 4th explosion when nearly 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate detonated, triggering a shockwave explosion that blasted windows, doors and walls miles away. Iran's military began today an expansive annual 3-day exercise near the strategic Strait of Hormuz, with the maneuvers taking place amid heightened tensions between the Islamic Republic and the United States. And a prominent human rights organization today accused Libyan armed groups linked to the Tripoli-based government of using heavy weapons to disperse anti-corruption rallies in the capital and of detaining, torturing and forcibly disappearing protesters. Nobel Peace Laureate Denis Mukwege was again under the guard of the United Nations Security Forces in the Democratic Republic of Congo after death threats against him prompted protests and international calls for his protection. Little remained of Greece's notoriously overcrowded Moria refugee camp today after a second fire overnight destroyed nearly everything that had been spared in the original blaze, leaving thousands of more people in need of emergency housing. The London hearing on WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange's extradition from Britain to the United States was suspended this morning because one of the lawyers may have been exposed to the coronavirus. And Britain has been warned its attempt to override the Brexit withdrawal agreement it signed with the European Union threatens the peace brokered in Northern Ireland more than 2 decades ago. Britain heading into emergency talks with the European Union today, facing warnings of legal action over a new Brexit bill and a threatening reminder of its obligations. The weekly number of positive COVID-19 cases in England has jumped 43% at the end of last month compared to the previous week. And add 100 international goals to the extraordinary list of milestones achieved by football superstar Cristiano Ronaldo. The 35-year-old became just the second male player to reach a century of goals for a national team when he curled a free kick into the top corner from 25 meters for the first of his 2 strikes in Portugal's 2-0 away win against Sweden in the Nations League. And a prominent opposition activist who resisted her forcible expulsion from Belarus by ripping up her passport has accused Belarusian authorities today of threatening to kill her amid their efforts to end a month of protests against the country's authoritarian president. Ladies and gentlemen, you're listening to the World News on Radio Caravan, and Russia's most prominent opposition leader, Alexei Navalny, was taken out of a medically induced coma and his condition has improved, according to a statement from the German hospital where he's being treated. Chinese and Russian forces will take part in joint military exercises in southern Russia later this month, along with troops from Armenia, Belarus, Iran, Myanmar, Pakistan and others. Doctors in Indonesia's capital have warned the coronavirus pandemic is not under control. The Jakarta, the intensive care units nearing full capacity in the city, ordering new lockdown measures amid a spike in infections. A Cambodian activist has been in prison for 5 years for plotting to overthrow the government, bringing to 17 the number of administration opponents detained or convicted since late July. India, France and Australia jump-started a new strategic alliance proposed by French President Emmanuel Macron 2 years ago with the first meeting of top foreign ministry officials of the 3 countries. India has signed also a mutual logistics support arrangement with Japan with an eye firmly on China's expansionist behavior in the Indo-Pacific and beyond. The first 5 Rafale fighters, dubbed Game Changers, were formally inducted into the Indian Air Force this morning at a glittering ceremony in the Ambala Air Base. The jets were given a ceremonial water cannon salute and it was followed by a stunning air display. The aircraft will be part of the Indian Air Force's 17th Squadron, the Golden Arrows, and Defence Minister Rajnath Singh and his French counterpart Florence Parly witnessed the entire ceremony. At least 51 passengers who arrived at Delhi's Indira Gandhi International Airport to catch their flights this year were carrying ammunition in their luggage knowingly or unknowingly. And a day after the Serum Institute of India has issued a show-cause notice by the Drugs Controller General of India, it said it was pausing COVID-19 vaccine trials in the country, with the highest single-day spike of 95,000 plus in new cases and 1,172 deaths reported in the last 24 hours. India's COVID-19 tally has crossed the 44 lakh mark this morning. Looking at the resurgence of COVID-19 cases in the city, the Delhi government has decided to test the maximum number of people in order to stronghold the virus spread. And Maharashtra now accounts for 25% of India's active COVID-19 cases. The mayor of the Brihan Mumbai Municipal Corporation has herself tested positive. The corporation has backed the demolition carried out at actor Kangana Ranaut's premises in the Bombay High Court during the hearing on the matter today, and claimed that BMC officials had found that substantial changes were made to the sanction plan of the premises owned by her. Paresh Rawal has been appointed as the chief of the National School of Drama by President Ramnath Kovind. And a Pakistani American, Shahid Khan, has emerged as the 66th richest man in the United States this year with a total worth of $7.8 billion. England's David Malan has replaced Pakistan captain Babar Azam as the world's top-ranked 2020 batsman after a fine series against Australia. And after the culmination of the T20 series, England and Australia will now lock horns with each other in the 50-over format. Australia avoided a series whitewash as they survived a mid-innings wobble to beat England by 5 wickets.